Namaskar. We welcome all of you here today on our well-being series. Here is Tom from the Aspen. I welcome you, Tom, to speak a few words about yourself today.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Thomas. I'm mindset and yoga coach, and I help leaders to learn to love their stress. And in the beginning phases, it's stress relief, stress management, owning the stress. And I'm originally from Latvia, actually. However, at the moment, I'm calling in from you, calling to for you from Spain, from Canary Islands. And that's a short story about me. I love travel. I love a plant-based diet, lots of fruits, and sometimes some conspiracies, science fiction, and just the self-development industry in general. And yeah, that's short about me. Live long and prosper.
That's awesome. You said you are a yoga coach and you help leaders relieve stress. How do you do that?
Yeah. Well, depends which is the most efficient way from the person to person. However, I always love to start with the basics, with the body. That means doing yoga asanas, yoga practice, yoga exercise, incorporating all kinds of other elements from different fields. Like sometimes I love to incorporate some Tai Chi movements, techniques, some Qigong, some other research I find useful. So I don't stick to the like classical yoga. Uh, and as of my background, I started out with Hatha Vinyasa yoga practicing. Then I took Ashtanga yoga teacher training. So now I'm practicing more like Vinyasa flow mixed with every scientific and self-experienced method of relieving stress and getting that blood pumping, that energy up. And I always start with the basics, so it's body. The next, the body needs, except exercise, is also a good nutrition. I'm not a nutritional expert. I know some nutrition coaches. I could recommend you a good one if you need one. However, for the regular person who's not training like a Olympic athlete, common sense and some regular guidelines is enough to know, okay, can improve on this part, improve on that part. And I've been on plant-based diet for more than 4 or 5 years. So I've researched quite extensively as well. I don't call myself expert. However, I'm pretty knowledgeable in this nutrition as well. And the third one is rest, sleep. So just noticing how good you are sleep. And once the body part is over, I'm going for the, how do you say, there's the expression meat and potatoes. I'm eating plant-based. I'm not sure if it's the best expression to use. However, I'm going for the juicy fruits mindset. And once the body is taken care of, we can work on the mindset, emotional intelligence, and that's how I help people to relieve their stress.
That's really awesome to know. I'm sure while your interaction with leaders and other people in the industry, you would have come across that many people are actually feeling very stressed. And due to that, it is affecting their day to day work and their lifestyle. So, how do you approach people and how do you make them understand that stress is an important issue that you have to look into to be able to lead a happier life? How do you do that?
So again, coaching is really wonderful in that sense that each and every person is individual and each and every one of them needs an individual approach because there's no one size fits all. And each and every one of us will have some different motivators and ways how what motivates them. For some people, it could be finding that being stressed impacts their family life, so they're not able to be with their children, with their wives, they're not present. They having so much stress in their work, and they come back home and they're still carrying the stress with them, and they're not able to be themselves fully. And it's about connecting. Okay, if you keep on doing the same things you were doing before and keep on bringing that stress, how happy you're going to be, and just pointing out what's important for them. So as I said, for some people, just having that quality time with the family is really important. So letting them know how it relates, how it impacts, and sometimes even exaggerating a pain a bit more, so they get on starting. And once started, of course, we go for a pleasure and then reinforce the behavior, set up new habits. For some people, it's money to start out. So it depends where you're starting your journey. So what's the most important thing for you at the moment? And just finding the thing, asking powerful questions through the coaching session, and then just emphasizing and linking these things together.
That's awesome. So, how do you keep yourself upbeat on a daily basis?
What do you mean by upbeat? Upbeat,
Positive for the
positive.
start.
So for me, the what keeps me positive is self-care, basically. Trying to take care of myself and keeping my promises to myself. So that's a big part of it, because if you're not keeping your word to yourself, then it's really easy to get depressed, stressed, and beating yourself up. So that's the one thing I'm working on with myself the most, is making sure that when I promise something to myself, that I keep it. Or another end, that I don't promise too much or don't expect too much of myself. So this relationship with self, this is really important part. And how do I do it? That's the mindset part. How do I do it is by keeping also regular physical exercise and practices, which is part of the body part. So I'm linking together because everything's connected. You cannot work only with body. You cannot work only with mind. You need to keep everything. And because we have body, to keep positive, you also need to keep in a good state. As Tony Robbins says, there's state, strategy, and there was something else, story. So story, state, and strategy. So the state would be how you appear your physical body, how you carry your vessel around the world. And it means open chest if you want to be positive, walking around with clear movements, and also having that energy means that you have to do some exercises. And I have a morning routine which starts out with waking up, having a glass of water, then I'm going for a cold shower, then I'm doing a bit of jumping around to just to get my blood pumping, and then I go for a 10 to 20 minutes yoga practice, which is every day a bit different. However, if I don't know what to do, I always do sun salutations. So yeah, doing regular exercise, also keeping my body active during the day, and making sure the blood is pumping. I feel comfortable, having a good nutrition. I love starting out day with the fruits, so starting light, so my body can digest, give me instant energy, so I can get on rolling, and having enough rest and paying attention to my mind. Because what I observed during the hiking experience is that as long as you don't worry, as long as you don't stress yourself, which is the mind part of it, you can go pretty long. You can go with lots of energy. However, if you start worrying, if you're going to catch let's say you're going there by bus and you need to catch a bus or a train back to your home, or you're starting worried, if I had enough water taken with me, do I have enough food in my backpack, or is it going to rain and maybe I get cold and sick. So if you start worrying about anything, maybe it's your family life. Okay, I'm doing hike, I still have 1 hour to hike, and I know in 1 hour I'm going to get home, and then there's this wife and she had this problem in the morning, and as soon as you start worrying, you start losing your energy, you start losing your positivity, and the easiest way, the most simplest, and actually the basic part, the simplest thing to do is just observe your mind, just observing what's happening. Even if you're not able to change anything in there yet, just being aware of it, that you're worrying, is a big step forwards, because then you start noticing earlier that you're starting losing energy, you start losing positivity, you're starting going down, and then you can start thinking about, okay, what can I do? Do I entertain these thoughts? Do I don't do them? Sometimes you leverage to the body. Sometimes you do some exercise. Once you notice that, okay, I have these bad thoughts and I need distraction. Distractions work well as well. It could be exercise, could be some food. We all know comfort food eating, right? So that's how I keep myself positive, keeping promises, taking care of myself, and being present to body and mind.
That's really awesome, Thomas. You did mention about comfort food eating just now. So
Yeah.
it is a very important topic, which I'm sure it touches many people. So, what advice do you have for our viewers on YouTube as well as LinkedIn for those people who have a tendency to go towards their comfort food when they are feeling stressed?
Well, I will not give you the straight, or maybe I will go straight answer. The straight answer is be present and know what you're doing and why you're doing. And I have a really nice story. I'm also very guilty, and I do it as well, the comfort eating, and it's a good leverage, and that's life. It happens. And the story is that a couple of months ago, I had this bad habit of eating peanuts very late, and because I already practiced self-awareness, I was quite aware that I'm not hungry. I don't really need those peanuts, especially that late, and I was feeling guilty because I know that if I eat such a heavy food with lots loaded with fat so late in the evening, then I will not sleep as well, and I will feel a bit dehydrated in the morning. So I was quite aware of the consequences it will take me, but I still had this inner stress, inner tension, and I wanted to release it. And somehow in the past, it worked with the peanuts because I was chewing, and I really like the texture, and it gives a bit of energy. And anyway, I was about to go for those peanuts again, and I did go for those peanuts, and I started eating them. And as I was eating, I was observing myself. I was like a hawk, observing what's happening inside of me and what I'm doing, why I'm doing, what do I actually feel. It's not like also the mind, and do I actually have any pleasure from these peanuts or not? So what's happening behind the scenes? Why I'm doing it? I'm asking these questions, observing these things, and at some point, I noticed that okay, the first one or two peanuts felt nice, salt, fat, really addictive. But as I was continuing going on eating those peanuts, I kind of like felt this threshold, and you feel like, okay, I think it's enough. But I still had this urge to continue eating more and more and more because I still had that stress and I still needed to release it, and I didn't want to do anything else at the moment. And as I was eating those peanuts, I noticed and had this curious question that I was eating them because I was feeding my want to feel guilty about eating those peanuts. So basically, I noticed there's a thought behind me because we also sometimes have these negative thoughts inside of us. And it would be quite ignorant to think, oh, I'm really positive, I'm always positive. No, we have both positive and negative, and if you dig deep enough, you will hear both of them. And I started noticing this voice, not really a voice, but more like a feeling, urge to keep on eating, to keep. I was kind of like felt this. I cannot explain it. It felt like I was feeding this urge to feel guilty, because I knew with each peanut I eat, each peanut to the mouth, I will feel more guilty, and I will feel worse the next morning, next day. So kind of like going against myself. And then the question arose, the aha moment for me. Would I continue eating those peanuts if I didn't feel guilt of eating them? And the answer was actually no. And I kept on eating a couple of them, still more, when I still had the clear answer that I'm actually eating them to feel guilty, not to relieve stress. Not it actually works a bit on releasing the stress, but not because you eat them. It's because you move your jaw. It's actually the jaw movement. So you could be chewing gum, could be just doing like this, and it would work the charm. Would be the same. However, the problem here was the addiction I had was to the guilt, and how I got over it over time was actually observing. I ate a couple more peanuts just to see, do I feel guilt if I try to not feel guilty about eating them, and the guilt suddenly started getting away because I was still eating peanuts, I was still doing the bad thing, I was still going against myself, but I was not feeling guilt anymore. And after a while, it's like, this is getting boring. Like, I don't really feel like eating those peanuts anymore. Like, I'm not feeling the guilt. There's no pleasure there. I'm already full, and I know I'm going to feel bad tomorrow anyway. So I just like, okay, it's enough peanuts today. I just put them away. So this is the story I wanted to tell you. I already got too engaged and forgot the question. Comfort eating. Yeah, the comfort eating is sometimes just moving the jaw is the best thing. Maybe find the sugar-free, or actually without sweeteners is even better because you don't want to eat sweeteners either. So anything that makes your jaw moving and entertained and distracted is a good first step for getting over comfort eating. If it's a specific feeling you're trying to attract by eating, then it's a bit different, because from my experience is that there are certain cravings we have once in a while. And for me, the most predominant are, I want something crunchy. And then most people go for chips because that's the most advertised thing that people have. And that's the first thing that comes to the mind, crunchy, crisps, crunchy, chips. So that's how the brain works. You have this association. However, you could eat carrots as well. So I'm going for carrots. So just understanding what is the feeling you're trying to feed with this emotional comfort eating, what is how you can around it, and then finding easier and easier substitutes until you either get over it, because for me it's easier just to not to go cold feet, cold turkey, just okay, I'm not eating at all any comfort food. And sometimes you have even more stress of not allowing yourself that pleasure. Like sometimes people go on too strict diets and then they relapse because they just were too strict and it wasn't sustainable. For some people it works, but not for everyone. So for more sustainable practice, I would suggest try ease it into it, bring awareness into it, and know what you're doing and why you're doing. Just keep asking those questions. Our brain is a magical tool, and if you keep on asking questions, the brain will find the answer. So ask why I'm eating this. Okay, I want to eat this chocolate. What's in chocolate that I want? And you will get the answer. Hope it answers the question.
Thank you so much for that, Tom. Yes, yeah, your story gave us a lot of insight as well as your advice on comfort eating, on why actually people go towards comfort eating and how we can get over it. It is a very important topic that you touched on, and the advice that you have given today definitely will help us and all the viewers on how to go forward by coming out of this. You are doing an awesome job, Tom. So I should say, I should congratulate you on it.
Thank you.
come across as a person who has full of knowledge and energy and who just wants to share his knowledge on the well-being that he has received and felt to others, be it on a one-on-one session or with all his viewers. You want to share your knowledge and help everybody also raise their vibration and well-being. That is something really awesome. If I were to ask you today, what would be one piece of advice that you would love to give our viewers? What would you say?
Smile and be present. That's how I usually end my videos. Smile and be present. Why smiling? Is because when you smile, it's a body chemical reaction, and even if in the beginning it's a bit fake, it's the same thing. We come back to the state. If you are in a good state physically, that means smile, open chest, straight spine, standing, moving, walking. It releases endorphins and other good hormones into your body, and you start feeling good. So just by making sure your body feels good, is a good home to be in, just smiling just eases up you a bit. And be present. And well, what I've noticed that observing myself, that in the beginning, when you do these things that go against you, when you do these things not keeping your word, or are highly stressed, you don't really want to be present. And it's really hard because there's lots of things you would rather not see about yourself. There's a lot of things you don't want to see in yourself because you haven't taken care of yourself. You don't really love yourself fully. There's certain aspects of yourself you don't like, and that's why you really don't want to be present. And as my advice, the being present is like a goal, but it's not the first step. So for a lot of people, it's a really awesome to set this be present, and it's also not really a goal. It's actually a journey, because the closer you get to the present, what you think is present, it always moves away. It's like perfection. It's yeah, I'm getting a bit too long into this one thing, but I'm just explaining why smile and be present. And in the beginning, being present is just noticing one thought for one moment, and then just getting distracted again. And then you notice it again, and you get distracted. And it's always like that. And sometimes it takes hours, sometimes it takes days between. And as you keep on practicing, building these muscles of smiling and being present, it's a journey. Life is a journey.
That's beautiful. Thank you very much, Tom, for joining us today and sharing your knowledge with all of us. It's been a pleasure to have you with us. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Navina. It's been my pleasure.